Are we live?
We are live.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Oakland Poetry Slam. I am your wonderful host for the evening, Colin. We have an amazing show for you today, but first, today's show is brought to you by our support from our generous patrons over at patreon.com. This show, while super rewarding, still has to abide by the merciless rules of capitalism. So every contribution that is given to us helps RichOak plan and budget to ensure that we can do things like continue to pay our feature artists, support local fledgling writers, and provide a space for the East Bay community to enjoy live art. So thank you to all of our patrons, in particular, Renee Edmonds, Stephanie Yaboa, Emily Chow, and Kalalali for being regular patrons. Thank you to Jessica Kozakic for sponsoring one of our weekly workshops, and a special shout out to Alice Grimm and Rebecca Abraham for pledging $100 a month in support of one of our venues, the Allen Bluford Center for Justice. If you like what you see tonight or just love the arts, head on over to patreon.com/RichOak Events. There you can sign up for different tiers of support, all the way up from $2 a month all the way up to $100 a month. But any contribution you give to us helps us meet our goals, pay our venues, and give back to our community. So if this interests you, please head over to patreon.com/RichOak Events. But Colin, what if I can't afford to donate on a monthly basis, but can still give on a one-time basis? Well, I am so glad that some random high-pitched voice in the ether asked me that question, because we also have a Cash App at #RichOak Events and a Venmo at RichOak Slam. So head on over to all of those links, drop some cash, fund the arts, and on to the show. Gang, 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 gang. So, like I said earlier, we have a slam for y'all tonight, and a slam is a competition, and a competition has rules. That's how we figure out who's going to get some fucking money. So rules go like this. Poets, you have 3 minutes to share one original poem with a grace period of 10 seconds. After 3 minutes in your grace period of 10 seconds, you will be deducted points by our scorekeeper, Christian. After 4 minutes, you will be muted by our God, our master of the simulation, Sally, the ominous robot of the future. Please don't go over 4 minutes. That shit sucks getting disqualified. But what's even more important, that sucks having to come up on stage and announce the next poet after muting the last one. That shit is so awkward. Please save us all the embarrassment and keep that shit under 4 minutes. We got people from different time zones, so we want to respect everyone's time here. Next, no props, no musical accompaniment, no animal acts, no costumes, all that good stuff. Just you and what you can do with your voice and your body. Also, you get a trigger warning and a sound check before your time starts. So you can say, hey, can you hear me? Also, a trigger warning for XYZ. Please do those things first. If you say, hey, my name is blank and my poem is about blank, by the way, trigger warning, sorry, your time has already started. So please make sure you get those things out the way first. The top 5 poets from the first round will make it into the second round. We have 5 poets tonight, so congratulations. There will be no cuts. Everybody will make it into the second round. The number 1 poet of the night will receive a cash prize. Stay tuned for that. Gang, 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 gang. That is it for the poets. Next, we have judges. Judges, you will be scoring from 0.0 to 10.0. 0.0 is the absolute worst piece of shit you have ever heard in your life. You would rather die and take everyone in this world with you than live on a planet where a piece of paper even has a letter from that poem written on it. 10.0 is the exact opposite, is the absolute best poem you have ever heard in your life. You don't even want to read anymore. You don't have to read anymore. Everything you could have ever gotten out of literature, you got out of this one poem. That being said, there aren't many zeros, there aren't many tens. Score accordingly. We have this thing called score creep, where as the night gets longer, as you get settled in, start vibing, start drinking, smoking, you in your own house, you could do whatever the hell you want. Poetry magically starts to sound better. Please don't do that shit. We want you to stay consistent. So to help you with that, we will have a sacrifice, someone to get you ready for poetry, to calibrate you. Anybody you like more, score them higher. Anybody you like less than a sacrifice, score them lower. They are your practice round. So now that we have that out the way, we have rules for the audience. Gang, gang, gang. My favorite part. I love telling y'all niggas what to do in your own home. Number one, like, share, and subscribe to our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Oakland Poetry Slam. Yes, we love that shit. Comment on the feed. Let everyone know what you feel about their poems, how you feel. Be as enthusiastic as you would be, if not more, in person. Because without y'all, we just some crazy ass motherfuckers screaming into the ether about our problems, which is cool, but it's great to have an audience. And our next rule, more of a guideline, is this Zoom stage, our virtual performance space, is a freedom of speech zone. That means anybody can come up here and say whatever the fuck they want to say. But freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. So if someone says something fucked up, you can let them know. You can have those conversations respectfully in the conversation section. Be constructive. Be courteous. Be considerate. Don't be a fucking keyboard warrior. We're out here to learn and talk to each other. No, somebody in the Zoom is like, cancel them. No. If you're really that mad, just block them. It's not that serious. You do not have to get up in the comment section acting a fool. You can be respectful or you can be quiet. And it's that simple, because we are here to engage with art, not to engage with bullshit and egos. This is supposed to be a night of poetry and love. All right. Now that we have all that out the way, sheesh, are y'all ready to hear who's in the slam?
Woo!
One person is ready.
Woo!
2 people are ready. 3 people are ready. Okay, I'm not gonna count any higher. I'm sorry. Hey, yes, we are ready. So, poets, we'll be reading in this order. Starting night off, we got Nicole Tracy, followed by Reggie, then Esperanza, Safongo, and ending this round off with Dawn. Give it up for everybody reading tonight. Gang, 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 gang.
Woo!
All right. So on deck. Wait, who's my sacrifice? What the fuck?
It's a you, Mario.
You are
Okay.
the sacrifice, Colin.
Okay, I was not prepared for that, but I guess we can figure something out.
Sacrifice.
All right.
Show the
On
blood.
deck, we have our first poet of the slam, Nicole. But coming up to the stage right now, give maximum love for your sacrifice, Colin.
Sacrifice.
Unfair sacrifice.
Woo! Spill
Gang,
the
gang, gang, gang,
blood.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Indeed.com.
All right. You can find the good news tattooed in the stucco of every home. Find gospel and candle wax dripping over the sidewalk. I see God in every roadside vigil. Every balloon sent to the sky is a prayer. And maybe Big D was good enough for the Lazarus treatment. Maybe the whole hood is worth a resurrection. There's too many good folks dying in these streets for this just to be God's retribution. So I had to believe that all my niggas are in a better place. I had to believe that all my niggas were crucified like saviors and not thieves, that they all died like Jesus, that there will be a second coming of gold chains and fake designer belts, call it the return of the Mac. Before Mac 10s burned down the block, I have to believe that every chalk outline was a miracle. That blood and bullet was payment for safe passage to the promised land. Maybe the prodigal son is more than just a parable. Maybe death is just a sinner's way of running back home. Maybe death is the sermon. Maybe everybody in this neighborhood is a pastor, handing out holy hollow points to anyone who wants to meet the spirit. Call them strapped up shepherds guiding their flock to the light. And they say the sun don't shine in the ghetto. Or a casket. So heaven must be our first sunrise. All right, give it up for that poet. Gang, 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 gang. Judges, send your scores to our score creeper. Our score creeper, Christian. All right, gang, gang, gang. All right, that was our sacrifice. So we're like ready for the big boy slam now. Alrighty, the actual poets. I don't know who that idiot was, but they started us off so that nobody else had to. On deck, we have Reggie, but coming up to the stage, give maximum love for our first poet of the slam. Give it up for Nicole.
Mic check.
We can hear you.
Can hear you.
Content warning for violence against women. Alternative outcomes for the cat callers. 1, you don't accept polite rejection or me ignoring you. Say you call me a bitch, express your fragile ego in violence, and crumble because you just lost a fight to a girl. 2, you are stuck at a red light, continue to shout obscenities, and I am fed up with hearing your goddamn voice. So I pull out a library book and bash your taillights in. I have no problem being the crazy girl because the crazy girl gets left alone. 3, you become immortalized in a poem and damn girl, I want you on a plate becomes your whole identity. 4, I run the opposite direction of your lifted truck, miss my bus because I can't exist in public and am stuck waiting an extra hour. 5, I screenshot your unsolicited dick pic. Let my boyfriend send you one back with the caption, cute, but mine is bigger. Then I cyberstalk you, tell your boss what kind of slime they employ. You are fired and finally learn your man card can be declined. 6, you say, bitch must be on her period. After polite, firm, and making a goddamn scene didn't get you to leave me alone. So I climb on the bar and make sure everyone knows today is a heavy flow day. The next dick swinger to make a comment like that will get a sticky used pad chucked at them. 7, random drunk dude in the audience comes up to me after my cat caller's poem, tells me he would have said something more creative, introduces himself as Chad. Nearest friend walks over, kisses me like I am the love of their life and says, honey, is this man bothering you? Even predators can't outrun hunters. 8, not even my boyfriend next to me is a deterrent. He chooses between 2 ways to prove he's better than you. He chooses wrong. You lose the fight, he loses me. 9, you ask me, how old are you, baby? And I say I'm 17, even though I'm nearly a decade beyond that, but at least you have some standards, and saying you don't believe me makes you look worse. So you move on and hit on every other woman instead. 10, you say, damn baby, I've got that yellow fever. So I step closer and start coughing in your face until you are literally running away from me. 11, in a perfect world, you learn your lesson. Well, you do not, and continue to be everyone else's problem.
All right, give it up one more time for Nicole. Gang, 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 gang. All right, judges, you know what to do. Send your scores to the scorekeeper. Scorekeeper, if you could send me the total score of the sacrifice so I can read it aloud for, the transparency.
Yeah, hold on, I got you. It's in the Oakland Slam drive. I don't know if you have access to that. Otherwise, I can just send it to you right now.
I don't right now. Just put it in the chat.
Gotcha.
Julio, thank you. Prophet, you sent your scores to everyone instead of the scorekeeper. If you want your scores to be that transparent, that is totally fine. But everybody's gonna know when you give someone a 6 and you gotta stand by that. Just a warning, just a warning. If you want the anonymity of being able to be the low scoring judge or the high scoring judge or the middle scoring judge, if you want anonymity, please private message the scorekeeper. If you want to have to stand by every one of your scores to a mob full of angry people, you may have to. Nigga, can you do the math for me? The scorekeeper really just sent me the individual scores. I'm sorry, I'm talking shit, but it's your first time scorekeeping. Everybody give it up for the scorekeeper. It's
I
their
thought you
first
wanted
day
the
at the
individual scores
job.
because that's how we always do it at Berkeley.
I know, but this is in person. So since we can tabulate the scores like pretty much automatically and quickly, we usually just read the total score out.
Okay, I'll send you the correct one right now.
Julio, in the meantime, oh, there it is. All right, our last poets got a 27.2. Give it up for the scores. Poets, not the scores. Fuck the scores. You like poetry. All right, now, after everything's been settled, all the shit has been talked, all the laughs have been had, we have the rest of our show. So, on deck, we got Esperanza. But coming up to the stage, give maximum love to our next poet in the slam. Give it up for Reggie.
Let's go,
Little,
Reggie.
oh,
Little.
Can you hear me?
Indeed.com.
Boy between legs. Wish. Girl. Wish. New hope boy dies and returns, stolen girl, my chest, my laugh, still stuck between legs, keep closed, thigh crossed over thigh, hide boy to be girl and never home on the weekends, called girl in the club once and was killed for it, resurrected myself afterwards to be boy again, safe again, home again and still not in the body that I want, mistook a bottle for a gender and now I'm the wrong DD. Drunk and dysphoric. Brought my friends home safely, then vomited up the girl I choked down when a man asked what was between crossed legs. Thigh over thigh, hide boy to become safe. Boyhood dying the moment I realized that everything I am was defined for me. Masculinity beaten into me until rejection, revulsion, repentance. When I was young, I saw so many futures and now all of them end in the same flash of red. And what does it even mean to constrain infinite possibility? Black boy becomes formless and then wonders if he's still a Black boy. Who am I without the manhood that I was born into? When womanhood is both desired and unattainable, my body becomes a rebellion and a display of the gender that slips through my fingers. Girl, trick of the light, trap of my own making, unmaking gender, unraveling hope into possibility. Hope gender becomes fluid, flows like water, moves like air, malleable but cannot be compressed, cannot be contained, cannot fit in a box smaller than its magnitude. Spirit becomes body, and then becomes love. A mirror I can see myself in. I see myself reflected in so many faces that do not belong to me, but God, I wish that they do. I wish that her smile, his teeth, their eyes could be mine, and I could mask myself into a girlhood that was safe, out of boyhood that holds knives against its own skin. I want to crawl out of his skin and into hers, theirs, my own, my body, not rebellion, but homecoming, transcending expectations, ungendering my future, uncrossed legs, and manhood still hanging heavy between my thighs, and still girl, and still not, and still me, and still here, alive.
All right, give it up one more time for Reggie. And for reference, Nicole got a score of a 28.1. Give it up for the poet, not the scores.
Gang, 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 gang.
Gang, 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 gang.
It's giving a boom and a shakalaka.
It's giving a boom and a shakalaka. What does that even mean?
It means
No,
it's
I
giving
think
both a boom and a shakalaka.
translation, it's giving that we have a workshop. Segues, we love them. That was a high-speed segueing right there. Put on your helmets. We have a writing workshop every single almost said Thursday, every third Tuesday before the show at 7 o'clock via Zoom. We have a writing workshop. Today's writing workshop was done by Chardonnay. Some of the people here were in the writing workshop. If you are inspired by anything you hear tonight and you think, oh, I want to write, I just don't have the space, then come on down to our writing workshop. It is completely free. Yes, free for anyone to enjoy. All you have to do is show up, check out our Instagram, Facebook, and all our social medias for more information on with the show. All right, on deck, we got Safongo, but coming up to the stage, give maximum love to our next poet, Esperanza. Woo!
It's giving both a boom and a shakalaka.
Still don't
Mic
know what that
check.
means. Yeah, we can hear you.
A letter from the first house in Lathrop for a girl with wild hair and tangled thoughts. I have missed you. I do not look the same as I once did, but neither do you. Though I held on to you for as long as I could, there were elements outside of both our control that took us from each other, gifted me a way to hold the hearts of a new family. The future cannot be held at bay by well wishes, and I knew what yours held from the moment we met. I cannot tell you, but I held you for as long as I could. Knew the year you left would come with aches and pains. Your visits grew few and farther in between. I could feel my birth town growing around me, and though I cannot grow beyond the frame I have been placed in, there is a growing wilderness to me, a rainforest that has been transported with my new family, bringing townspeople to collect data on the insect population I attract. I might make it on the news. Can you believe it? I'm sure you can. We've stayed in touch, as acquaintances might. I'm writing to remind you we're family, one and same, that your name was written on my walls louder than you have ever allowed yourself to say it, that the stickers you place still have trouble peeling off. In case the dreams I send you are not enough, I must tell you that we will always be connected, though my walls are painted fresh, coated in new colors, though the ground is alive with greenery and animals in a way that may or may not involve magic. Your memory of me keeps me alive the same way my memory of your youth keeps that girl alive. I remember her. I loved her in a way you could not, nurtured her and her brother's curiosity, taught them lessons on gravity, but lucky for both of you, you had me. My front door welcomed back the royal dog, given the title of prince, but only replied to Tico, a puppy who once found rest at my hearth. I remember all who have rested in my walls, the family that lives here now, yours and the ones before. I remember it all. The days of sticky summer where you read books that held fast to the sweat glue of your palms, needing to be unpeeled like an orange, or paint shedding to allow for a fresh coat. I will never forget the colors I was when we met, the ways you ran through my rooms and helped build me from house to home. Your walls have gone up since you left. Liberation not as sweet as you'd hoped. I hear these tasting words, the ones you use in my kitchen to describe what I interpret as a full room of happiness, a family game night in the dining room, movie marathon on the couches lining the living room. Thank you for bringing me life. May all your homes taste just as sweet.
All right, give it up one more time for Esperanza. Gang, 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 gang.
Let's go, poets.
All right.
Let's
And,
go.
and for reference, Reggie got a score of a 28.8. Give it up for the poet and not the scores. Gang, 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 gang.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a great night. We've heard some poetry. Wouldn't it be great if you could hear that poetry again? And maybe you missed something. Maybe there was a line you heard and you'd like 10 minutes later, you like kind of forgot it. You want to be like, oh, what was that line that one poet said? You can watch our shit again because you can head over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Bay Poets Unite. And not only do we have curated videos of poets' individual performances, but we also have every live stream we have ever done uploaded there. So if you ever miss a show, if you ever want to go back to see a specific poem or rewind or all that good shit, check out our YouTube page. That is youtube.com/Bay Poets Unite. Shameless plug. Over back to the show because on deck we have the last poet of the first round, Don, but coming up to the stage, give maximum love to Safongo.
Let's go, poet.
You might die right now. My question to you is, what are you leaving behind? Will your children marvel at, or will they despise the choices you made for life? You can die right now. What are you leaving behind? Hi, my name is Pongo, and no, I am not okay. I could write about it, talk about it, but those things will never change the fact that I am not okay. I've done not so bad for a 25-year-old to quit school at 15, told mama I'll make a plan. 4 years later, I started on point blue, like the sky is always pointing upwards. See, the goal is more growth, like Mother Nature says, but no, I am not okay. Forgive me if I cry in front of you right now. I do not mean to disgrace the African man. See, I can't keep locked inside all of this pain. This voice is a brush. Please allow me to paint a picture so sexy it will bring orgasms to your brain. A picture so beautiful it portrays all of the African women who brought out the courage and broke out of the system, telling a girl story that goes far beyond the kitchen, telling a girl story that goes far beyond maternity ward, embracing their natural beauty the same way does other women. Did you know? Blacks only make up 12% of the American population, but they consume close to 70% of American hair products. That's a statistic I found the other day, but it doesn't concern me because it will never change the fact that I am not okay. Back to me, I am not okay. I do believe with daily practices, I will be okay. Honestly, I practice this, and if you think it's not good enough, then yeah, that is okay. After all is said and done, your opinion will never change the fact that I am not okay. I could write about it, talk about it, sing about it, even rap about it. But if I'm one who's not dedicated, if I dream and I apply no action, I will forever slave behind those mental cages. I will forever blame it on my upbringing. I will forever blame it on the economy. So yeah, I practice this. I may not be okay, but I am practicing. If one day I do take my life, just know that I practiced it both in the mental and in the physical. Oh, I think I've said too much on practicing. You might not be okay, but please start practicing. Power.
Let's go, poet.
Give it up one more time for the poet. Gang, 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 gang. All right, and our last poet got a score of a 27.9. Give it up for the poet, not the score. Gang, 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 gang. All right. On deck, we have a dope ass feature. We will get into that. I'm excited for this feature. They have an amazing bio. It's gonna be great. But coming up to the stage, give maximum love to our last poet of the first round. Give it up for Dawn.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was born and raised in Bronx, New York City. I came out the womb curious and, like most children, the world was my oyster, so I would often ask my parents if I could leave my neighborhood to see the city. Now, for those who are not born in the city, New York is separated by 5 boroughs, each its own distinct personality. The Bronx, crowned above Manhattan, is filled with people bubbling with charisma, accents, and the occasional jumping. So when asking to travel outside my neighborhood, I'd always expect them to say yes. But I guess my father saw something I couldn't. Maybe afraid the NYPD would chew on 5'8" frame on my mother, saw me plastered on the first 48, but from there, I learned that I'm not a do-as-I-say child. That if you don't give me a reason, I will test your patience. That each no became a reason to go. And every time I lied about where I've been, I resented their parenting style. Angry that everybody else's parents trusted them, yet mine could allow me to live outside of the Bronx. That this memory is the earliest memory of why when tragedy happens, I do not tell them a thing. That they must catch me and alive and hear it from my lips. Ain't that sad when they say it's hard to tell your first lie because you'll always have to remember it. And my memory has had to be picture perfect, and tragedy has known my life so well, but my body has not yet unlearned how to tell them the truth, fearful that an out-of-date ass whooping is waiting for me. When I had my first boyfriend at 16, my mother was introduced to him as a friend hiding in my closet. And although that is a cliche, it was as if she had realized that all these years I had been leaving her line of sight. Told to never see that boy again and again, I ran towards curiosity. I was told, do as you're told, or don't make me tell your father, knowing that my father was homophobic. So as if I was told to live a lie or risk an ass beating. I waited to college, to graduation, to come out as gay. Told her my truth, and she said, how could you take this day from me? And here we see what happens when the world revolves out of your parents' view. How tragedy is perceived as more hurtful to the one that causes the one going through it. And I am left piecing back my parents, letting me down again, because it doesn't matter if it's going to see more of the city or living your truth. The lesson here is to live life how you are told and not how you want to. When I was assaulted, I learned to not tell my parents a thing. That I didn't need a third time to teach me why I already knew. And every time I build up the courage to tell them about what I've experienced outside of that neighborhood, I realized that they have not changed. And I am still 11 years old with a Metro card trying to escape. And it's possible that this is all made up in my mind. Memory has a funny way of misinterpreting what actually happened. Tragedy has a funny way of hiding the truth, but I can't seem to shrug off the feeling that I am right.
Gang, 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 gang.
Give it up for the poet.
Woo!
And our last poet got a score of a 27.9. Give it up for the poet, not the score.
Woo! Let's go, poet.
Judges, without looking at the scores, I can already tell you there is a tie going into the second round. I don't know what place the tie is for, but I need y'all to remember to be discerning next round, so we don't get any ties for the second round. But on deck, we have our second round, but right now we have our fucking feature, and our feature is Joshua Merchant. Let me get into this dope ass bio. Joshua Merchant is a Black queer native of East Oakland, exploring what it means to be human as an intersectional being. They naturally gravitated to English and art as their favorite subjects in school until they were reluctantly pushed to perform their spoken word pieces at the local open mics by their mentors and day ones. They have been failing upward ever since, and uses the term fail as a reminder, a term of endearment when reflecting on the survivalist nature that comes with being a body/an artist in a medium few understand, yet constantly beseech those of Joshua's stature to have the answers to questions most are too afraid to even ask. A lot of what they've been exploring as of late has been in the realm of loving and learning and what it means while processing trauma, loss, and heartbreak. They feel as though it has become too common to deny access to our true source of power as a means of feeling powerful, especially for those of us more marginalized than others, a collective trauma response, if you will. However, they've come to recognize with harsh lessons and divine grace that without showing up for ourselves and each other, everything else is null and void. Innately, everything Merchant writes is a love letter to the unapologetically Black and unabashedly queer. Because of this, they have had the honor to witness their work being held and understood in literary journals such as 580 Split, Roy Fianon. It's French, I think, and I don't speak French, so I probably fucked that up. But I know this one, Snowflake Magazine, Corporeal, Anvil Tongue, Verum Literary Press, Spiritus Mundi, Worm Moon Archive, Duck Mongoose, and elsewhere. Everyone give a warm Oakland Slam welcome to our feature, Joshua Merchant.
Gang, 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 gang. It's giving a boom, it's giving a chocolate, it's giving some rapper, that's what we do.
His name was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Oh no, we can't hear you.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
Cool. Okay. Hi. Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump into doing poems. I have poems. I'm gonna read poems and not freak out. This first poem is called Episodic. Before she was taken, she would leave mid-sentence. Everyone in the house would transform. She'd holler until our faces were recognizable again, half fearful, partially still angry, confused and worried, her face uncontrollably smudged with the building blocks of regret. Jenga is fun until your mother is the pillar. A new sleight of hand prescribed, a prepubescent launch of cruelty flung from my mouth, a love affair with a pool of scorpions. There was always a sting. She was always falling, rising, with a new backless gown, brown socks adorning the ground she walked. She once held a candy cane jar of chocolate kisses like a decaying animal in her hands, as if she were saying, "We're broke for the holidays, but I can fix it. I can fix us." This next poem is called Lost High Bun, after Ocean Vuong. Meanwhile, I was fading, The oil of me licked the road smooth for your brother's arrival. We were fading. Reclamation does that to you sometimes. The man who would've, should've, could've was doing other manly things of the like, being, or building a mountain. I was a good bridge. Ask the parentheses of my underbelly, the sharp curve he couldn't check. He checked his own smog instead, floated to the top of whatever mountain he dubbed pyramid until he could see where we last left off, if the spikes he left behind slowed me down at all. Before Al Gore educated me about the ozone layer, I knew your father had it under his chest plate, or maybe he lived inside of one. I didn't mind the heat during his best Romeo impersonations, a wad of McDonald's money tossed off the balcony, I the soft light breaking yonder window with a thank you, or the uncontrolled smirk he'd give after you'd kiss his cheek goodbye. All of him wasn't always tinted. You weren't always born a dagger, my love. A bulldozer doused in eternity came knocking, greeted my left ass cheek first. Y'all were there, promised me a family date for my birthday, took me to every store in the mall, said no to every single damn thing I wanted. What we wanted, tagged along by our side the entire time. Y'all were there. I didn't ask him to install a new constellation around a nimbus. Hell, not even a sunroof. No gifts were necessary. Y'all were there. He leaves me alone on the highway with a handprint around the mound of me. He was good at that. I got better at it, littering my past with tire marks, driving down roads with almost dead things and survivalists on all fours. There's a designated road for women like me. I wanted but didn't need the gold bearings for him to wrap into me, nor did he for me to swaddle him. Both of us met outside in the dark. I learned to take what's necessary and leave the rest. It doesn't matter what he was there. It doesn't matter that he was there. He left my necessary with the streetlights hum. He took my necessary to go hitchhiking through something that blinded him. Let him tell it. He invented the wheel. I had to become a turn signal. Old white men write songs about the drive I took, swallowing my tears in hopes of you two not seeing me drown in the car. Your father was excellent at reading maps. He knew where to crash that night. After 3 days of making y'all scavengers, he scraped himself from the bottom of whatever intersection goes undiagnosed for men like him. His old friend called his sister, called me. The young make dusting circles in parking lots look so fun, like they could spiral like that forever and not feel it. Blessed be the father who spends a day's worth of gas to show y'all what he showed me. Blessed be your mother. The distance is short enough to attach a phone booth to her stomach.
Whew. My God.
Thanks. This next poem is called Before the Table Folded Upward. He had something to prove that day. His work bag became a parachute. I can't tell you if I fell or was pushed, if the flies behind the teacher's trash bin knew me on a first name basis or for how many hours that week, if my mother launched his name with a closed fist until it spun to the other side of the block, catching it with his forehead. What I know was breakfast was my favorite food, and cereal, a sacred ritual. The Saturday rush hour on Channel 2 or 12, the helmet turned upside down, the toasted fuel poured, patted till softened, the go that stayed in the house until forced otherwise. He pulls out a box of Honey Nut Cheerios at the lunch table. It's go time. Fun fact, I once found a pair of fuzzy earmuffs in Dad's apartment. His place was random like that. He brought the quiet parts to school that day, a silent kiss on the cheek after moms come to pick up. Who snickered and for how long muted by the cling of a spoon. This next poem is called Home of Thin Ice. On this night, all the smoke and a hurricane slurred into a bottle while my best friend and I crossed the street. We're almost home, interrupted by an apparitional child with a bike most niggas at my kin and I supposed to be grown age would steal. He was trying to sell us warning wrapped in plastic, our own warning already festering on our tongue. We wanted to use our yellow tape as bat signal. He was 11 years old, our age and lack of rest, and our age was borrowed time on nights like this. I was never a Henny person until I was a nigga scared to sprout fur. She would one day be married before picking up a shovel in memory of what he vowed and didn't. But it always starts there, doesn't it? A silence so loud it slangs a boomerang that strikes a match, ricocheting from the sky to tar to metal spokes between a church and a broken garage. After he left, we sighed until the street sweeper thawed the pavement. This next poem is called Hook Decay. When Peter moved to the east, Wendy didn't yell at him as often and only from inside the house. He had a full beard and at least 3 kids he was responsible for. I can't tell you which one was his, but he loved them, all of them, self included. One day, he forgot how to fly and Wendy taught his clothes to soar instead. One day, he forgot he was falling in the middle of the street and I watched my brother grow twice his size, not in age, but in fists to cuffs unseen by even our parents, and we cried for him. Even my brother before he bathed pans bare back in asphalt across the street from the middle school we were told to never attend until eventually we too would lose our frequent flyer miles, landing on jeans ripped behind the ankles as we reminded each other we could still float on our way to class. This next poem is called Two Stack Mattress. He comes in the house breath stained with green crumbs in my crevices. There's his mother, the woman with her own handle of brown, his sisters, and me. We hold him, keep him afloat, keep him from sinking into Langston's nightmare while washing away images of gun smoke, spooling into smiling faces, the fag he sprayed with Lysol for being too mouthy, or the woman he anointed with a chicken wing. Some days, I cradle him until his fist is the size of his boy's. He says, I swear somebody praying for me. I don't know how I'm not in jail. And they laugh. He says, Daddy loves you. And they fall. This poem is called We Ran Through Night. I am fresh out the hospital for the 3rd time when told they tried to tell my father when I was old enough to talk and he already decided to never listen. When I first see myself on TV, it is with a bullet through a man terrified, fighting for his best friend. In the end, she dies too, not before leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for the police. My first reveal of personal taste is through Adina Howard, a tape I found and danced to in my room. I will never say she's deceased. Instead, I will let you know she shook for me and my father, and I carried his stake in my back long before he knew to teach me about the master's house we turned into a juke joint. This poem is called Winter 2006. She says, welcome back, and my heart builds a hurdle to leap. In this race, we were both fast, but our lanes switched. We went out before I moved, and I came back with hormones pinned to the boy who would be used as a reason to target Planned Parenthoods on both sides of nonprofits' windows as distraction. My buggy from my father's patio would shake the way a mother's voice wavered as a warning in the grocery store until the sun drops to hide and go get the moon. A game I sat out until it was time to talk about 13 ghosts and which one was the scariest. I left behind a mother with 2 kids and one on the way. Obviously, the firstborn son and the withered lover never came up in conversation. The angry princess and the torso are the first ones we laugh at. The idea of being chased down the flickering hallway on the second floor and who would whoop who in a fight. It's safe to say my brother and I ran back to the east by flight and landed on Christmas Eve to find no tree unless burned with a sky tattooed by discussions of what it would be like to escape death one more time. My ex, yet always friend, brings up the hammer. We'd be safe though, cause he don't kill niggas. And a ghost story makes me laugh for the first time in weeks, if only for a few hours, until we are called to haunt the unrequited punishment that was our youth.
Woo!
Thanks. How am I doing on time?
You got time for like 2 more.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. This poem is called Hind Legs. For 2 hours, I watched Amy Winehouse try to dry her own tears, even in isolation, even when, fuck, I'm gonna start over. Hind Legs. For 2 hours, I watched Amy Winehouse try to dry her own tears, even in isolation, even while begging her father to visit and he shows up with a camera crew begging her to be cool and her matte black succulent hive decompresses. Black spores dust the air through the TV screen of the man I am planning to die with's basement. And for 2 hours, it doesn't matter what ice I stole from him, chipping away the serpent lashing my teeth, or the venom he tried to warn me about the hour after we laid until we were both lotus petals blooming from conversations on a floor-bound twin mattress. What matters is the moment he finally enters the cave that adopted me, and the equator he fell in love with warms the room as I remember the word for humanity and wage war with the red tectonics of my eyes. I tell him I witnessed one of the greatest artists of our generation be brought to pasture by a reluctant yes and a platinum certified no. The bottoms of half-touched water can only be medicine for the melancholy if the sad remembers there are so many ways to scream, a voice mimicking the squeak and crack of brass, a face reminding itself of its own dimples, the whimper to howl ratio of a microphone. I tell him, we're all Amy Winehouse. And everything after slides off his shoulders. Call it a shrug. Call it the silence after I called for the 6th time, and another man answered his cell. Call it senioritis, the continuation school we both expelled each other from, the Grammy speech I gave after there was no prom king or queen to be found. And all right, I'll let y'all decide between what poem I'll read last. A Tina Turner poem or a The Magician's poem or an X-Files poem. Okay, so 3.
The
Magicians. Okay. Cool. Someone say Tina Turner. I'll do The Magicians.
Yes.
Yes.
The Black magicians show their cards, loosely inspired by the TV show The Magicians. The shade is the tiny beating heart of the soul and the part that allows people to process complex emotions and connect to one another. The bonds of friendship, love, intimacy, trust, and compassion all rely completely upon the shade. A person's shade is depicted as themselves, but as a child and has the ability to send miracles to those in need. It is never safe, but should be. His peanut-headed self reminds me of this by showing me a scar under his fingernail and says, "That's my brother." I don't say a word. I reach in my lunch bag, brown with 2 golden arches, and offer him everything but my toy, which I'd be happy to share. He then shows a blackened heart on his back that looks drawn on, mapping where his sister wandered into the street and the impact used to protect her. I say, "I love you," before the bell tolls, before a whistle calls forth a single foul line, warns us before the slow drag to the bus, before either of us warns us before the slow drag to the bus, before either of us are reminded to count our guardians on one hand or one finger before leaving, even if the joy of recognizing someone's fight can't be ours for too long. Thanks.
Woo!
That
Fire.
was so good.
Woo!
Thanks.
Fire. Woo, 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 woo.
Get it. All right. Give it up one more time for our feature, Joshua Merchant. Gang, 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 gang.
Woo!
Let's go, poets.
It looks like my bout manager was really enthralled by the poetry because I do not have an order for round 2 yet.
That's reverse order of appearance.
Wow, you couldn't have wrote it down. Damn.
You want me to write it down for you? I got it right now, buddy. Give me 2 seconds.
1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, Tino. Give it up for my lovely assistant, Tino.
You have a question in the chat, by the way.
Question in the cheat.
Regarding the final
What
poet
was
score.
the last poet's score? Ooh, could you resend that to me? Because I get kicked out the Zoom meeting, so I don't have it anymore.
That was no fun.
We'll get that score
whack.
in just a sec for you. Ooh.
Let's go, poets.
Alright. Do I have that score for the last poet, Christian?
Give me 1 second to check. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, I have it recorded. I guess I forgot to send it to you. My bad.
Oh no, I got kicked out the Zoom meeting. So even if you did send it to me, I don't have access to that part of the chat anymore.
Oh, okay. So you want me to say it out loud?
You could just send it to me if you want to say it out loud. I mean, shit.
I did send it to you. I sent it to you like 20 minutes ago.
I know, but I can't see it anymore. I got kicked out
Oh,
of the
okay,
Zoom.
okay, my bad.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Hey, Colin, what's happening tomorrow?
Oh shit. Tomorrow is the Berkeley Slam.
Berkeley Slam.
Every single Wednesday at the Starry Plow in Berkeley. It's Berkeley. All right. So the last poet got a 29.2. Give it up for the poet. Gang, 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 gang. All right. Now that we got scores set up. Okay, someone said Berkeley Slam. And it took a sec for me to read it. All right, so poets will be reading in reverse order of appearance. So the first shall be last, and the last shall be first, or whatever the hell that weird book said. So poets will be reading this order, starting to round off with Don, then Sfongo, then Esperanza, Reggie, and ending the night off with Nicole. So give it up for everybody in the second round. Gang, 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 gang. But since we had a feature who was absolutely amazing, some of our judges made me need to be recalibrated. So we're going to have another sacrifice. So on deck, we have Dawn. But coming up to the stage, give maximum love to our sacrifice, Tina. Why couldn't you sacrifice the first round?
Mic check.
Yes, we can hear you.
New
Can hear
shit.
you.
The lead in the tap makes us all sick, but it's you being anywhere but home that has my stomach in knots. My feet shuffle in the kitchen, compelling a predestined journey for you. All the streetlights cut on early, so home has been calling, frankly, since dawn, when the last week's worry lingered a little longer in your bones. So lay the activism to rest for a bit. I know how close danger resides. I know everyone uses the absence of light as an excuse for all that can happen in its presence. So get your ass back here before it's too late. You didn't even cross yourself as you pass the altar on in the morning. Los Santos, don't go marching nowhere unless you ask. I want to kiss you goodnight again, mijo. I want you to know there is a tomorrow worth looking for. I prayed on it. I asked for God for many blessings, and he answered with you. I asked God for breath and life, and he showed me you. I parted countries for you. The list of miracles are only a mother can perform. Do you know I trust you? Do you know I don't trust this world to carry you back here? I mercied our grievances into a rosary for you, bathed it in my tears before the Virgin could kiss it. So don't go tempting everything unnamed. This town you love won't hold you the way I can.
Wow.
All right, give it up one more time for your sacrifice, Tino. Gang, 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 gang. All right. Judges, send your scores into the scorekeeper, Christian. All right, now that we've had our sacrifice, we are ready for our second round. The second round is the money round. Winner gets 50 American dollars. So stay tuned to see who gets that. All right, on deck we have Spongo, but coming to the stage, give maximum love to Don. Woo!
I like my dick black, 8 inches thick. Like some people call me picky, but I call it a preference. That the thickness of a man's dick teaches you that he is able to forcefully make room. All you need to do is breathe and it'll be all over. That 8 inches above average, influencing his ego. Ego being man's worst enemy. I called over a man I gave head to because I wanted some weed. He passed me a blunt in my apartment. Then he kissed me, so I kissed him back. Y'all know how it is when we talk the talk. You gotta be willing to walk the walk. But a gesture of payment becomes incentive. Pulls down, sweats to be blown. Ain't no 8-inch thickness, just 4 inches in black. So I make it quick. While my head questions, how much do I love myself? My mouth sucking on low standards, my brain screaming for my roommate to help me, my heart more worried about outing his sexuality. That this agreement is unsigned queer contract where we absorb trauma into our bodies in an attempt to be accepted. My mouth be a watering hole, regurgitating enough spit to make his eyes roll back. Yeah, I couldn't spit. I get your hand off my head. We undress. Our dicks stand at attention. I tell myself to break a leg because maybe it'll make the time go by faster. His thrust creates a forest fire. And me pushing his stomach must have been signal to keep going. Like when we say stop, it'd be a sign of encouragement. He says it's me. He says, just breathe. 4 inches make glass of my body. One pump away from my mental health shattering into a million pieces. He be turning coconut oil into blood. Because when I told him this ass gets wet, he said it was a lie. I told him to fuck me. Snatching his gay virginity, his ego, becoming gravity, crushing me into the mattress. My black leaked off my skin like cooked meat. He's sucking on broth, reviving his sexuality, dripping like rainbow colors, losing the rainbow inside of me. They say queer men have a lot of sex. Yeah, I couldn't tell good sex from being raped in my apartment. This man murdering my insides. Yeah, I couldn't feel it in my stomach. It took me 5 months to realize what happened to me. Scared to describe more than his dick because outing a down low man could lead to suicide. And who wants a dead body on their hands? My friends asked me why I never said anything. But honestly, who believed me? The man that can't go 5 minutes without talking about sex, that people are reluctant to believe women, less likely black women. So who believed me? Look what happened to Terry Crews. That black men assaulted in society, stripped of their masculinity the moment they cried wolf, afraid to be a police anal swab in a stack of thousands whose voices were stripped from their lungs. So I tell the story for black men assaulted in society who take it as a joke because you gay if you don't enjoy it. Until you gay and you don't enjoy it. But my ego is just mad. He didn't even come.
All right, give it up one last time for Don. Gang, 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 gang.
Woo, woo, woo.
And our sacrifice got a score of a 27.5. Give it up for the poet, not the scores. Gang, 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 gang. On deck, we have Esperanza. But coming up to the stage, give maximum love for Sfongo. Woo!
Woo! I could tell you all my secrets, but nah, they ain't not that important. Instead, I write about how the world is and how it's supposed to be like. That's according to me and the people who inspire it. I get on stages to shine the light, showing you how I made my life right. Maybe that is not right. Maybe all I'm after is your Facebook like, retweeting endorsements from the cool kids. Some of the things I hate to like and like how I hate simple. Like the economy resurrecting in 3 days, like Jesus. I mean, running out of Viagra is turning you to a preacher, trying to conceal your savage ways, but the scars you inflicted on hair are written all over your face. They scream each time you whisper. Tell me, what's the scarf for? Yes, I am talking to you, scarf more. Basa Gungomde, I want you leave her alone. I mean, she's had enough of your forced factory. Or maybe she hasn't, but shout out to the people of Sudan. They inspired me to do better than the man in the mirror. Maybe you'll never see me in the street again shouting erectile dysfunction out, hashtag ED out. Maybe this is the last time I talk about him, for the truth is I am my own man. My success depends on no other man or woman for that matter. So other him or mwana wegutorera magic is ake, it will never change the fact that I am of a higher power, a king by birth. This jungle I will protect, making sure that the only time I get beat is me beating on my chest. Peace.
Let's
All
go.
right, give it up one more time for
Yeah.
Congo. Gang, 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 gang. And our last poet, Don, got a score of a 29.4. Give it up for the poet. Yeah. All righty. Whew. We are almost finished with the slam. We got 3 more poets left because on deck we have Reggie. But coming up to the stage, give one last round of applause for Esperanza. Woo!
Ode to Slice House Pizza in Walnut Creek. Poem for the pizza eaten with my boyfriend on Halloween night. Firm, crispy edges gave way to fluffy bread as light as a cloud from my childhood. The cheese, immaculate. To tell you it was the best pizza would be an understatement. And don't worry, it's got awards to back up my lofty praise of poetry. #2 pizza in the US, top 10 in the world. Here's where I might lose you. People pretend pineapple on pizza is unnatural, but to me, it's perfection. Thin slices of pineapple pepper the pizza, ham as a light pink pillow for the roasted deliciousness to rest on top of. It's giving the holiday of my dreams, the sweetest childhood, both pineapple at a barbecue and beautifully roasted ham lovingly torched for a Thanksgiving meal. This pizza is art. If you don't believe me, there's also a combination pizza, and that one's all right. I prefer mine better, but tomato sauce sweet, complimentary, each bite a soliloquy worthy of its own ode.
All right, give it up for the poet. Gang, 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 gang. And for reference, Fungo got a score of a 28.0. Give it up for the poet, not the scores. Gang, 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 gang. All right. On deck, we have our last poet of the slam, Nicole Tracy, but give maximum love to our penultimate poet, Reggie. Woo!
Yeah, Reggie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I do not label my body, and therefore I allow my name to be the first thing that falls from anyone's lips. Girl to my face, boy behind my back, or whenever my body is a less than welcome thing. Where sinister names exist in the dark when no one thinks that I can hear them. Freak, monster, pervert. My body exists both inside and outside of the teeth, the tongue, the throat of every lie you tell yourself about me in order for you to sleep better at night. My gender is both intangible and a heavy brick that sits in the pit of my stomach until I vomit up an identity that is more concrete. My fingers desperately grasping at the mist of a girl, the smoke of a boy, or the very tangible violence required to survive as Black and either. There is so much blood trapped inside of my body, and all of it is planning to leave. Naming the essence just aids the escape of myself from myself, and anything can be a gender. A gun, a knife, a rope, as long as it's something that I should run from despite it being the only thing that knows my name. Girl against the blade, boy pulling the trigger. Neither when my breath threatens to asphyxiate me into something more palatable. Gender becomes a weapon when it is only used to describe how worthy I am of respect, or how much I can defile a temple that I built with my own two hands. Too much girl to be a boy. Too much boy to be kept safe in the presence of more dangerous men, and pronouns become a coffin when they are only used after I am dead. He, him when convenient. She, her as a joke. They, them when I am a secret to be kept behind someone's lips, and I have disappeared down so many throats you think my gender is made of gagging, of choking, of spittle. My pronouns a magic trick where my body can become anything you want it to be, as long as it's not mine to own or keep safe. My gender is, my name is, belongs to everyone except for the people that truly love me, and love is a gender too, at least in the way that it slips through my fingers. My name crumbling in the back of my throat every time I introduce myself, like, hello, my name is. When they find me, dead in an alley, dumped in a ditch, or floating down the river, you tell them exactly what to call me. You tell them what I called myself.
All right. Give it up one last time for Reggie. Gang, 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 gang. And for reference, our last poet got a score of a 25.9. Fuck the scores. Give it up for the poet. Gang, 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 gang.
Ooh, that score was whack.
Let's go, poets.
I don't have feelings about scores or poetry or anything. I'm just your host. I just let the show coast along and make sure we don't crash. Speaking of coasting, we have coasted to the end of our show because on deck we have finding out who gets this money and going to hell home. And by home, I mean off this meeting and shit. But coming up to stage right now, give maximum love to your last poet of the night. Give it up for Nicole Tracy.
Gang, 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 gang.
Let's go, poet.
Mic check.
We can hear you.
Content warning for mentions of sexual assault. The rape apologist says to the survivor, he's not blaming me, just the red solo cup for being so irresistible, the game for being so much fun, my hand for being the perfect fit for the cup, my mouth for wanting to drink, my blood for having such a high alcohol content, my voice for saying how much I love the taste of my own drink, my words, even though they didn't tell you the best way to try my drink was to kiss me, but you for kissing me anyways. He's not blaming me, but asks what I was wearing in the same breath. He's not blaming me, just the clothes I was wearing, how I wear them, because my confidence was just so attractive. He's not blaming me. He's just blaming me for loving myself and dressing how I want. He's not saying it was my fault, but tells me I was foolish for thinking my own bedroom would be safe. Blames me for feeling comfortable. Blames me for mistaking comfort and safety. He said it's not my fault, but says there is nothing sexier than a girl who's comfortable, as if comfortable means I've let my guard down. The apologist asks me his name, as if the name of my rapist absolves him of all guilt. Asks me, I'm sure, as if I don't know my own body. I tell him my body knows what it feels like to not belong to itself. My body knows better than him. My body knows better than him, despite his attempt to make me believe something else. The rape apologist blames everything and everyone except the rapist, but says he doesn't blame me. Says not all men, but asks why more rapists aren't convicted, but doesn't ask why his behavior enabled them to walk free. Doesn't ask how he could represent something of a larger problem. The rape apologist is right, though. Not all men are nice guys. Not all men will walk me home without ulterior motives. Not all rapists will be convicted. Not all rapists will even see the inside of the courtroom. The rape apologist says he doesn't blame me, just everything about me. Says it's not my fault, but he wants to say it is.
All right, give it up one last time for Nicole Tracy. Gang, 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 gang. And for reference, our last poet got a score of a 28.8. Give it up for the poet and not the score. Oh, wow, we made it to the end of our slam. While I am waiting for all of our final scores to be tabulated, let me.
Scorekeeper, host, workshop.
Y'all aren't muted.
And managing. Everyone got paid.
Yes, everyone got paid. Tino, you're not muted. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for scores, let me tell you about all of the wonderful shows that we run. First and foremost is the Oakland Poetry Slam every third Tuesday right here on the ye old internet. Check out Oakland Poetry Slam on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff for more information about how to catch our shows, how to participate in our shows, how to volunteer for our shows. All that good shit can be found on our social media. Next is the Berkeley Poetry Slam every single Wednesday. That means tomorrow. Over at the Starry Palau in Berkeley. Check out their Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Berkeley Poetry Slam for more info on that. And we also have the RichOak Alchemy Open Mic every first and third Saturdays on Instagram. Check out at RichOak Alchemy for more information. We also have big shit coming soon, so stay tuned for more of our shows. Can I also get the second round score for our last poet as well, Christian? Thanks for sending in some of the scores. Scores are still getting tabulated. Shit, what can I do to stall?
Do we have a GoFundMe folks can support?
Nigga, do we have... We have a GoFundMe. Arvin, drop the link to the GoFundMe. I never forgot about it.
It's on the
How
link
could
tree.
I
It
ever
exists on our
forget
link
about
tree. If you ever want to support RichOak and anything else, our GoFundMe is on our link tree.
It's in our link tree. Look at this week. Instead of our email shrub. Do you also have third place's total score? There we go. All righty. So in third place with let me get this out the way. Our last poet, Nicole, got a score of a 28.9. Give it up for the poet, not the score. And now I have all of my final scores so we know who won this motherfucker. So in third place with a score of a 57.0, give it up for Nicole. Woo! Gang, 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 gang.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, hi. My cat has decided to make an appearance. Come here.
Hey.
Appear for the internet.
Show.
Adeline protests my third place and lack of tens. Goodbye.
Oh my gosh, Adeline was fighting for her life.
She doesn't like hugs or me.
Oh my gosh, just like a teenager. We love it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, Nicole. We love to see you and your poetry. All right. In second place with a score of a 57.6. Give it up for Reggie.
Oh shit.
You were doing illicit substances, weren't you?
No, so I was watching this video of this little white kid. He's like 5 and he found out about MLK and he said, and I quote, "The whites killed him. He was a good man." Wait, it gets better. He said, and I quote, "If I ever see the whites again, it's payback." And I was like,
what?
So I think my new pastime is going to be white kids finding out about race.
Oh my
that's
God.
the energy. That's the energy we should have. That's the energy everyone should have. Like, anyway, thank you so much. I was distracted because of equity. And you should be distracted by fights for equity too, because it's not a distraction, it's the main event. Thank you so much for supporting me. I'll see y'all next month.
Wow. Scathing things you said there, Reggie. And before anybody out there decides to sue us, ask yourself, do you have the money? Can you afford a lawyer? All right. Thank you so much for performing, Reggie. Lovely to see you as always. And in first place, with a score of a 58.6, give maximum love to Don. Woo! Gang.
Now we got music. Shout out to whoever reminded me that this slam was going on and I signed up. You are the real MVP because I was working and watching On the Run because it is on Peacock. So if you are a Beyonce fan, you can go on Peacock and watch On the Run. Shout outs to Reggie's dope ass poems. I love Reggie's poems. Nicole, shout outs to you for slamming at Juan tonight and then coming here. No wonder you had coffee, and I like your poems as well. So shout outs to everybody tonight.
Nice. Thank you so much, Don. We love to see you. And thank you so much to Reggie and Nicole and Esperanza and Sfongo for performing, and everybody who touched our stage, like Tino and our other sacrifice who shall not be named. Shout out to Christian for doing math on a Tuesday night. Shout out to all of our judges, our bout manager, Tino. Shout out to our god, Sally, aka Arvin. It's always good to be around you and to hear your mechanical voice. And shout out to all of you at home listening to us spit our art into the internet frequencies. Without you, this would just be a Zoom meeting and not a show.
Group therapy.
I know, it'd be group therapy and not a poetry slam. So thank you for making our trauma art and not just trauma. We will see you next time. I have been Colin. This has been the Oakland Slam. Good night, everybody.
Let's go, poets. This stream will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.